as we get further into solving problems using substitution, it's important that you know how to solve real-world problems. So, as we get going, it's kind of hard to read, but this part right here says that Jane has 2 times as many assignments to finish as Joey. You can kind of see the top of that there. And the total number of assignments is 12. So we need to figure out, first of all, how to write a set of equations for this so that we can solve using substitution. But in order to do that, we need 2 different sets of equations describing the situation. So let's start with this first part here. Jane has 2 times as many assignments to finish as Joey. Now, our first step is to figure out what we need to know. We want to know how many assignments Jane has and how many assignments Joey has. And since those are the things that we want to know, those are the things that we are going to assign variables. So I'm going to say Jane is X and Joey is Y. So whenever it says Jane, I'm going to put an X above it. So Jane has 2 times as many assignments to finish as Joey. So I'm going to put a Y above him. The total number of assignments, which means Jane and Joey, is 12. So an X for Jane and a Y for Joey. Alright, now we got to talk about the logistics of the problem. The things in between our variables. Jane has 2 times as many assignments to finish as Joey. 2 times, meaning multiplication. So that would be very similar to saying multiply by 2. And that is going to be, so if we multiply by 2 the number of assignments that Jane has done, then we will get the number of assignments that Joey has done, meaning that those 2 sets of equations are equal. That 2 times your Jane will equal your Joey. Okay, so now we have one equation. X times 2, or 2x, equals y. Alright, now we need to talk about our second set of equation. Our second equation here. Okay, our total number of assignments, Jane and Joey, is 12. So, whenever you see the word and, that usually represents what operation? Addition. Whenever you see the word is, that also represents a mathematical symbol, the equal sign. So if you take a look at what we've got here, we've got Jane plus Joey equals 12. We've got our equation right there. X plus Y equals 12. If we think about what this means, X is the number of assignments that Jane has finished. Y is the number of assignments that Joey has finished. Both of those added together is 12. So now that we have a little bit of experience putting equation onto a situation, let's talk about a little bit more complex of a situation. So a pet store has a total of 45 cats and dogs. There are 7 more cats than dogs, and we want to know the number of cats and the number of dogs in the store. So we need to figure out the system of equations that is going to represent that, and then we can solve from there. So again, I'm going to take this step by step, walking through each sentence. So beginning with sentence 1, we need to know what we want to know. We want to know the number of cats and the number of dogs. So we are going to assign those variables. I'm going to make cats X and dogs Y. So if a pet store has a total number of 45 cats and dogs, each time I see the word cats, I'm going to put an X. Each time I see dogs, I'll put Y. Okay. So, and is also a good hint word there. That means plus. Now if I think about what this first sentence means, a pet store has a total of 45 cats and dogs, meaning that my cats, X, plus my dogs, Y, will equal 45. So there's one of our equations right there. Let's see if we can get our other one. Alright, there are 7 more cats than dogs. So if we want to say that there are more, that's the same idea as addition. And there are 7 more. So this is saying that you have 7 more cats than dogs. So 7 plus the number of cats, 7 more. So this is saying there are 7 more cats than dogs. So dogs, there are 7 less. In other words, 7 plus X equals Y. The number of dogs equals the number of cats plus 7. There's our second equation right there. Now that we have our 2 equations, we can go ahead and solve. So thinking about how we can solve this, let's put our equations right next to each other. That'll help us out. X plus Y equals 45. 7 plus X, plus X equals Y. Now, just like our other substitutions, we know what Y equals. So we're going to put that in for Y, just like we do for the other ones, except this time our Y is in the middle of an equation. So we're going to just put in exactly what we've got. X plus Y equals 45 is our first equation there. But instead of putting Y, we're going to put what we know Y equals. We're going to put 7 plus X. Now simplifying like terms, we can see that we've got an X and an X, making 2X. We can't reduce our 7, so we tack it on, equals 45. And now we solve for X, trying to get it by itself. So 45 minus 7 on both sides gives us 38 equals 2x. And dividing by 2 on both sides to get rid of that part, we get x equals 19. Now if we remember, our number of cats here is our x. So we know that there are 19 cats. Now we need to find the number of dogs. So we can plug it in to whichever equation that we want. I'm going to choose this one because it right away equals y. 7 plus 19 equals y. Solving this, we get 26 equals y. So we know that the number of dogs that we have equals 26. Now I realize this looks a little messy, so if you need to take a second, or copy it down on a separate sheet of paper, or take a second and find a different spot for it, or rewatch this, whatever you need to do to make this make sense in your head. Now for these equations, I want you to take a second and try and attempt them on your own, and then you can watch the video to catch up and see if you've done it correctly. I'm going to start with this first one here. So again, we know what y equals, but our y is not by itself here. That's fine, that's okay. We just put it right exactly where it is. So if we have 2x plus 3y equals 66, instead of writing y, you notice I left a blank, because instead of writing y, we're going to write 3x. Now you notice I put parentheses around that to make sure that it wasn't confused with being 33x. Now if I go through and solve this, 2x plus 3 times 3 is 9. Tack on that x equals 66. Alright, 9x and 2x, 9 and 2 is 11, with that x on there. Divide by 11 on both sides to get that x all by itself. We get x equals 6. Now you know we aren't done. We have to figure out what y equals. I'm going to choose to plug it into this equation here since it says y equals. So if I take a second and plug that in, plug in my 6 for x there, we get y equals 6 times 3, 18. So my final answer would be the ordered pair 6, 18. And as you notice, 18 is kind of large, so that would be a tough one to graph if you had to. Now, for the second equation, if you need to take a second and pause the video and try this on your own, go for it. It's more valuable if you try it on your own and come back and check your answer. So, as you see again, we know what y equals, but our y is not all by itself there. That's totally fine. I'm just going to copy the one with the y in the middle and leave a blank so I can put in what my y does equal. So I'm going to substitute in this x plus 8 because I know that's what y equals, and solve from there. X plus, remember to distribute the 2 to both pieces, so 2x plus 2 times 8, 16 plus, or equals 25, my mistake. So we've got x plus 2x is 3x, plus 16 equals 25. We want to get this x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. Cancels there. 25 minus 16. So 25 minus 16, we get 9 equals, we've got a 3x left over here. To get that x by itself, it's separated with multiplication, so we need to divide. X equals 3. Now, we're not done yet. We have to go back, plug it in. So, I'm going to plug it into that first equation, y equals x, but instead of putting x, I'm going to put 3 plus 8. Y equals 8, 9, 10, and 11. So my final answer, ordered pair, my x is 3 and my y is 11. Final answer. So this finishes up the lesson for today. You can get going on the homework. And after that, IXL is always a good choice.